Now, I know we mentioned this briefly before because we both love the Roman deities, but I think they are quite overshadowed by the Greek deities, and particularly, I think, within modern paganism. Why is it that the Greek ones are so much more in the forefront than the Romans?
I think it comes down to, from my perspective anyway, that the Greek deities are quite dramatic. And
that's an understatement.
So it's kind of like they're really kind of, they're more extrovert, kind of they kind of like their stories that are dramatic and they're more memorable perhaps.
Right, yeah.
But they are very different to the Roman deities. There are some that are similar, and then there are some that are pure Italian and some that are pure Greek. And I kind of think that, it kind of annoys me a little bit. I might go off on a tangent about this.
But carry on.
When people go, oh, well, they're both just the same. And I think, and it bugs me because it's like saying, well, the British gods are just the Norse gods, and I know exactly. But it's like saying that because they're completely different cultures, completely different countries. Italian people must get really annoyed all the time that people are just saying their gods are just Greek. Because there are native deities to Italy, and there are similarities, but there are archetypes that they're embodying. Even like comparing British and Roman, they were linked together, they were assimilated because they had similar archetypes, but they are also different. But I think the Greeks kind of get all the attention because the stories and mythology that was left, they did kind of, like Homer, they're writing these bigger epic stories that perhaps the Romans were more kind of, they do have their own mythology, but their gods were different. They were very elemental. They were very they didn't have like these relationships, like because he's cheating all the time on his wife, and we can all relate to that story somehow. But they don't have that with like Jupiter and Juno. In fact, they don't become a partnership until they look at like the Greeks and see what they're doing and go, well, that would be a good idea for us to have something like that is putting forward the idea of marriage, and we want the Roman people to behave, like.
There is that idea, isn't there, that I hear it quite a lot. Oh, the Roman deities, yeah, they just stole them all from the Greeks. How true is that, or untrue?
See, I would say that's right.
Go ahead.
I would say again that's untrue. Again, it's like it would be like saying, well, there's no Welsh deities; they just stole them from the Norse. It's that same, kind of a country that lives nearby. Of course, there's going to be influences because they're trading, they're talking to each other. There's a movement of people between land masses that are the same. You do get this. People say the same about all kind of like from Welsh to Greek to Roman to Norse, all just from the Middle East. Possibly there was this, but we're talking about way, 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 way back, when before people became really nomadic and were moving over into these countries, there probably was this, kind of root for all of these different religions, but these pantheons. But then it becomes very specific to, the country and the land that the people then, stay on and establish themselves on. So like the Roman deities are very much springing up from the locality, like local lakes and local rivers and local volcanoes and things like that. So their landscape becomes their deity. So they can't have just kind of come over. It's not like you can pick up a volcano and take it with you when you move, and then it's the same deity. So for me, they're completely different pantheons, completely different deities, apart from a few like Apollo, who is just like a moving god who gets everywhere. And I kind of honor them as different. So I'm a big fan of Minerva and Athena. When I want to talk to them, I talk to them as different deities because they do completely different things, although they have similar kind of like things that they like.
Yeah, I think the Romans, but Minerva's an interesting one because we both work with Minerva, and I do because of her connection to Sulis over here. Mm-hmm. And the Romans did that a lot, didn't they? They tied is the wrong word, isn't it? They added their Roman deity name to other deities, like Sulis became Sulis Minerva.
Yeah, it's a political move, really. It's a way of integrating and making it easy for people, the countries they went to kind of accept the Roman Empire. It wasn't really, about religion. They were very accepting of any other deities. Like, you could worship who you want as long as you were okay with the emperor being your emperor and being your ultimate authority. So often they will go there and they'd add a name. So the Roman people that were moving to that country would know that deity was who it was to them, and then the people that were in that native country would then be able to find a way to connect to Rome and its empire. They could still kind of show that they were loyal, but without giving up their own deities.